All right, hey guys, I'm going to be going through just a couple quick examples. So please have your math book out and get ready to solve these with me. So go to page 310. So today we're going to solve same type of equations that we did yesterday, but they're going to have fractions and decimals. So the decimal ones are not going to be really any different. It's just going to have a decimal. So you can do this problem in two ways on page 310. You can go off to the side wherever you have room. Okay, way number one is you can divide this whole thing by 0.2, and we talked about this yesterday. The 0.2's will cancel, and then I'll be just left with c minus 3 equals, I'll have to do 10 divided by 0.2. I get negative 50. And then my last step would be to add 3 to both sides. So I get c equals negative 47. Okay, that would be the first way to do it. The second way to do it, I could do the same equation. Okay, I'm just writing it out again. And you can distribute, for those of you that like to distribute. So 0.2 times c is 0.2c. And then 0.2 times 3, you'll have to type that in, which I'm doing on my calculator, is negative 0.6, and then equals negative 10. And then I would add 0.6 to both sides. That cancels. I get 0.2c equals, if I do 10, take away 0.6, I end up with negative 9.4, and then lastly, I would divide by 0.2 on both sides, and I end up with c equals negative 47. So again, I solved it both ways. This is the same as yesterday. You have those two options, so it just depends which way you like better. All right, we're going to try it on page 311, the second problem. Again, you can do it either way, but then I'm going to show you how to do a check. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is draw my line down. I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 0.8 and divide by 0.8 on both sides. Okay, that cancels. I end up with m minus 5 equals, I'm going to type in 10 divided by 0.8. And I get 12.5. And then I just have one more step. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So I end up with m equals 17.5. Okay, now let's do a check. Okay, so to do a check with a decimal problem, I'm going to write 0.8 in parentheses instead of an m. I got 17.5 minus 5 equals 10. Okay, now I'm just going to solve this. So inside the parentheses, 17.5 take away 5 is 12.5. And then it says times 0.8. So then again, I have to do this on my calculator. 12.5 times 0.8. Oopsie, I did that wrong. And I end up with 10, so I get 10 equals 10. I know I did it correctly. So again, on these decimal problems, you have two options. You can distribute or you can divide right away. All right, so the fraction problems, let's go to page 311. These ones are a little bit harder, so I want to make sure you see how to do these. Again, I will do this in two different ways, and you can decide which way you like better. Okay, and we'll practice these a lot tomorrow when I'm back. So first thing that you can do, to get rid of that fraction on the outside, remember if we were doing like 1/2 x equals 10, we could times it by 2 over 1, because then it got rid of it, and then times that side by 2 over 1. Okay, so you could do that. So then here's your option. You can actually times, if I have 2/3 n plus 6 equals 10, you can actually times this first side by 3 over 2, because then those will cancel, and then I'll times this side by 3 over 2. So let's see what happens. I'm left with n plus 6 equals, I'll put a 1 under the 10. I get 30 over 2. Okay, I'm still left with n plus 6 equals 30 divided by 2 is 15. And then I'll subtract 6 from both sides. So n equals 9. There's my solution. So that's one way to do it. Okay, now if that way is confusing for you, don't do it that way. Okay, here's your second option. Okay, your second option is, again, draw your line down. You can multiply. I'm going to do 2/3 times n, which is 2/3 n. Okay, and then I'm going to do 2/3 times 6. I'll put a 1 under the 6. Now, when you times this, make sure you do the 2 times the 6, the tops. So I get plus 12. And then 3 times the 1 is over 3. And then equals 10. So all I did was distribute to start with. Okay, now before I go any further, I'm going to kind of divide this out. 12 divided by 3, that's the same as writing a 4. So I have 2/3 n plus 4 equals 10. Okay, I'm going to keep going on this. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So I get 2/3 n equals 6. And then I have one more step. So again, here you're either going to just times it by 2/3, or if you don't like that, you can be like, oh, I'm going to divide by 2/3. And I'm going to divide by 2/3. So I get n equals, well, 6 divided by 2/3, I'm going to come work that out over here. I'm going to keep the first number, change it to times, and flip it. 6 times 3 gives me 18. 1 times 2 is 2. And then finally, 18 over 2 is the same as 9. So I got the same answer. The second way was obviously a lot more steps. So it probably will be a little easier if you do it the first way. All right, go to page 311, and we're going to try this the check problem. Okay, again, you can use any space on this page where there's room. All right, I'm going to solve it the first way I did it. So I see that fraction out front. Okay, I'm going to actually times it by 4 over 1. I'll times this side by 4 over 1 as well. Because then my 4's cancel, my 1's cancel. I'm just left with d minus 3. On the other side, I'm going to put a 1 under here. Okay, so 1 times 1 is 1. 15 times 4, you can use a calculator if you do not know what that is. I'll just tell you it's negative 60. And then negative 60 over 1, that's just the same as negative 60. So then I have d minus 3 equals negative 60. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. I get d equals negative 57. There's my solution. All right, I'm going to show you how to do a check, okay, with a fraction one. So I'm going to write 1/4, parentheses, d, I got negative 57, and then minus 3 equals negative 15. Okay, so again, all I did was rewrite it. You guys should be getting good at the checks. Okay, so I'm going to keep that 1/4, and then on the inside, I'm going to change that to add the opposite. So negative 57 and a negative 3 is negative 60. Hopefully that equals negative 15. Okay, my last step on the check is now I actually have to times this out. So I'm going to do 1 times negative 60, negative 60. 4 times 1 is 4. Hopefully this equals negative 15. Finally, that line right there can mean divide. So negative 60 divided by 4, good news, is negative 15. Okay, so I completed my check. Negative 15 does equal negative 15. All right, so our learning intention for today was hopefully that you can solve equations with fractions and decimals. Again, we will do more of these tomorrow, but I just wanted to show you how to do them today. All right, so what you're going to do now is in Class Kick, you are going to see a February 8th Class Kick. Okay, you are going to attempt these problems. I do not care if you get them all right. This is your first time seeing them, but at least try them. Okay, if you get stuck, that's okay, but you just have to have some kind of work. So again, please at least try all of these problems. This is your homework.